It is 6 o'clock, so we will call to order our school board meeting for Wednesday, October 1st, 2025 at 6 p.m. We will start off with a roll call.
Sean Moynihan, Principal, Sunapee Middle High School.
Megan Reed, Principal, Sunapee Central Elementary School.
Amanda Hulak, Director of Student Services.
Linda Tanner, School Board.
Amanda Spears, School Board.
Elise Lazat, School Board.
At Anderson School Board,
Russ Holden, Superintendent.
Kelly Wessels, Business Administrator.
if we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Going to look for a motion to approve the school board meeting minutes, the minutes of September 3rd, 2025.
I can make a motion to approve the school board minutes for September 3rd, 2025.
And I'll second that.
Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns, or changes needed? Seeing none, all those in favor? Agenda review.
It was presented.
Moving on to public forum in accordance with policy BEDH. Anybody here from the public like to speak? Seeing nobody, moving on. Right up to the presentation for SMHS Student Council.
All right, hi everyone. I'm Hadley and this is Allison, and we're both student council reps from the junior class. And we're just going to tell you guys a little bit about what we do in student council, the different events we plan, and things we're in charge of, and that sort of thing. So Mrs. Lombard, the supervisors and runs all of our meetings. And the council is comprised of 5 representatives from each grade. In past years, it's been 4 representatives, but due to ties within classes for the elections, we made it 5 this year. And yeah. So one of the first things that we think about each year is spirit weeks and pep rallies. We usually do 3 spirit weeks, one in the fall for homecoming, one in winter before winter workshops, and then one in the spring before field day, as well as one pep rally during homecoming week. So these are pictures from our past spirit week, just this past week we had homecoming. We elect the days, or we pick the days within our council, but ideas come from all over the student body. It's really just whatever the kids in high school want. So we had like Happy Kidney Day, Adam Sandler Day, anything but a backpack day is one of Mr. Moynihan's favorites, he's a big fan. But just things like that. And then a bunch of different pep rally games. Musical chairs is always popular. Mat surfing is a new one we introduced this year. It's a big hit. And then donut off the string in a relay race is always a fun one. So. And then after the spirit week and pep rally, we have homecoming, which has a lot of traditions within it. We always do as part of our pep rally cake decorating. This was the junior class group this year. And then this year we introduced a new tradition where each class decorates their own banner, which you can see right here. And those are all part of the pep rally. And then usually like Saturday after the pep rally, we have a bonfire in the park followed by dance at the church. There's the winning junior banner. Shameless plug.
Yeah.
And then another thing we think about as student council is dances. Obviously there's prom, which gets planned by the junior class, so that's separate. But last year we did a semi-formal, which was Las Vegas themed, which was pretty fun. And just things like that, especially the underclassmen who don't always go to prom, thinking about different opportunities for them to have high school dances and things like that. So this is from our dance last year. We like to do one every year in like the winter, make it a winter formal thing, but with time constraints and different trips, sometimes it doesn't always happen. But one of the biggest things that we think about with dances is that isn't like a fundraiser for us, so that's us using our budget and using like our funds in student council. So we always think about, last year we made like a lot of handmade signs and things like that. Decoration shopping, like really being smart about how much money we're spending, because this is one of the events that we like spend money on throughout the year. So. And this past year we introduced
So having Allison, and I think it's good for everybody to hear this, and this was amazing to me even, how many people went to the lock-in last year?
That was our biggest event. I think we had 70 or 80. Yeah. It was up there. It was a big hit.
So it was interesting, just when we're looking at a high school, and this is the high school student council, so not the middle school student council, and they really are trying to do things to build, student involvement and school spirit and increase those things, and they do a phenomenal job at it. But when they did the lock-in night, I'm like, there's no way you're gonna get like a lot of people here on a Friday night after they've just been, like, they're at school every day. And we've like 135 students in the high school, and it was like 80 of them went to the lock-in. I'm like, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, we have like 65% of our student body coming in at night, and it really speaks to the student council of just really, if you told me 30, I would have said there's no way there are gonna be 30 kids there, and as the numbers kept getting bigger and bigger, it was amazing. And they spoke of Mrs. Lombard, so one of the tough things is getting chaperones for so getting somebody to come in from like 2 to 4 in the morning is not an easy sell. I did a 2-hour, but I think I even took like, I was a baby, I took like 8 to 10.
Yeah, I think you, yeah.
I needed to go to sleep, but I think Mrs. Lombard did the whole thing.
She
So
did.
Mrs. Lombard was just here the whole night. She's just an unbelievable champ with all the stuff on that. But anyway, I couldn't get over the number of kids who did the lock-in.
Which was really exciting for us because bringing back an event that hasn't been done in like 5+ years, like that was exciting because we were a little worried about, and that's something we think about with the dances too, like do people want to come back on Friday night or do they want to spend their Saturday night, or will we get less turnout if it's on a weekend and people are away? Like you have to think about all those kinds of things. So it was really cool to like bring back an event and people got really excited about it. Even with, I think there was like sports games that night, and those teams were just added to like a list of like so they could show up late after the doors locked. And even then we had like almost everyone from those teams still show up after they played like a basketball game in the middle of nowhere. So it was crazy, but yeah.
And I should know this, but how are you guys funded? Just from your events, or?
Yeah, so we have a fund, like we have a student council fund that's separate from all the class funds. And that's part of what we have to figure out is, some of our events have to be fundraisers and some of them we can like you can't say field day is a fundraiser because students aren't paying to be a field day. So that's like what we spend our money on. But the dances, we try and bring money in so that we can pay for them and things like that, and break even, things like that. The lock-in is technically a fundraiser. Those sort of things. Homecoming, the dance is technically a fundraiser, but homecoming is a little different because it doesn't like cost as much as putting on like a dance does, because most of it's like in school and just more of like the tradition and the spirit of it. But yeah, we have like fundraisers and then we have to save, and then the money from each year carries into the next.
And we do have a line item in the budget, but typically they're going to spend more than that line item. However, they usually make more than they spend, so they do a pretty good job. They do better than a pretty good job. They do a good job.
So then there's no cost for a student to come to this, so there's no student that's left out, or is there a fee?
To be like a member of student council?
No, to just come to any of these events.
Oh, so some of them, like the homecoming cup rally is like that doesn't cost anything because that's like in school hours. But like the dances cost money, the lock-in, field days within school hours, so it doesn't count. But things like that are outside events almost do, but it's never more than 15 a person. And we've never like run into issues with people not being able to like fund it. And I think if there was issues, we'd be able to like facilitate that and help make sure that it's as accessible to everybody as possible.
Sure, so the other students would be aware that there'd be help if they could not afford to.
Yeah, those are things that we have some people within the school who will know things with that. But again, they keep them, I think the most expensive was the lock-in. That was, do I recall correctly, that was $15?
I think so.
And mostly the dances are usually between $5 and $10. So that's usually the high end. But we do have some money available that we can kind of pinpoint when those things happen.
And our adjustment council is this year for the first time actually has set some money aside to allow for potentially any families they know, whether it's prom, dances, whatever it may be, field trips, to be able to help scholarships for some of those things if needed.
Okay, it's good to hear.
Do you have times when, like open meetings, when other students can come in with requests or issues, and do you meet with the principal or the superintendent to carry those through?
do meet with the principal every so often, and we run all of like our spirit days, and all of our events go through Mr. Moynihan first before they're like advertised in school. We don't necessarily have open meetings to the student body, but we talk to our grade. So we're in the junior class, and we talk to our class, and we ask like if they have any ideas for spirit days or what they'd like to see out of dance, just so we can like bring that feedback back to student council.
Great.
Because the idea is each class elects, in this year, 5 officers, usually it's only 4, but elects people that they think can represent their grade and take their ideas through it. So yeah, the idea is to combine the class and kind of get feedback from everybody, which I feel like has been pretty successful. There's a lot of communication and advisories and things like that. And then yeah, we wrote Mr. Moynihan into a lot of our meetings. He said no to pajama day many a time, but one day we'll get there. One day.
I give them a lot of credit. They're very creative, so I will say that.
Adam Sandler days.
They rotate the days. They rotate the days around quite a bit, and I can always kind of tell because sometimes they're like, "Here you go," which tells me that they know it's all set, and I think, so I'm like, all right, what's that day gonna be? But it's they're really good. So if I have concerns, I'll usually share them with them, and yeah, like if I have a concern, I'll go, I don't want this to happen. And then they'll be like, sometimes they'll be like, yeah, I see your point, or sometimes they'll go, so if we can make sure that that doesn't happen, you okay with it? And I'm like, yeah, I just wanna make sure I don't see this happen. And it actually works pretty well, so I would say I say yes 90% of the time?
Give or take.
Give or take, all right. Fair enough.
I'm glad you guys went to 5, because now, I mean, this is one of the big classes, and then the freshman class is big. So
Yes.
that's great for
Yes.
ratios, and I think that's really nice. That makes a big difference, so.
Yeah, and the 5 was just a result of ties too, so it
interesting.
is kind of like a coincidence that now we have 5, because it would have stuck with 4, regardless of the grade sizes, which is a little tricky as like some of the grades are more represented than others, but it's exciting that now there's more people that get involved. It's not as like, difficult to get involved in put in these kind of things.
Do you find that the tuition kids have any problem being able to come to these events that you have later?
Yeah, so we're actually lucky enough, our president of the student council, because like Allison mentioned, we elect officers within the group. She actually lives in Leominster, so I know a lot of the underclassmen that are tuition students and come from Leominster. Like she carpools and takes them, like there's always someone willing. Another one of our senior members lives in Leominster as well, so she brings people, and usually I think everyone's able to get there. There's only, and like we're pretty good about like, it's understandable, being 30 minutes versus living 5 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
we get it.
I'm also a tuition student, and sometimes I live like 20 minutes away, but it's definitely a drive, but it's definitely doable. And there's a lot of carpooling.
Yeah.
It would seem like it's a great way to integrate you more with the student body too, to have those activities.
And it's fun because sometimes like the tuition students bring, or not even just tuition students, but kids that come from other schools bring other ideas that like, we might not necessarily have thought of before. Like different things they've seen their school do, or like outside ideas, which is always fun because like the Scientific traditions are like the core of a lot of the events we do, but being able to build on those and make new traditions is like just as special.
Now we gotta cheer for rain, so you guys can get your bonfire rescheduled.
Yeah.
October 24th, hopefully.
Let it rain, let it rain.
It may snow first.
Well, oh my gosh. It is cold.
Well, thank you very much. Nice job.
Thank you. You did a great job.
Moving on to school updates, we will move right on to SCES.
Good evening. Since our last meeting, we've had 2 evacuation drills at the elementary school, and we have also practiced a bus evacuation. So Brenda Thomas brought the school bus to the playground and had talks with students about bus safety, and then practiced what to do in case of an emergency. We ask our students to silently exit the building during an evacuation drill. And so I was reading those protocols, and I was like, oh, like silent. And It really was. So we did that twice, and the students just did a really great job and know that it needs to be quiet so they can hear any instructions that need to be given. And at the elementary school, we evacuate to the Sherburne Gymnasium. So it's getting out the building, down the hill, in the Sherburne Gym, all lined up, and we've done it twice. So that feels good. Our staff has been meeting as various committees, and we're looking to flesh out different roles of different committees. Looking to see if there's some redundancy, if there might be some needs for some other committees, and getting a sense for that. So we have a student support team that meets weekly to discuss students in need of support in any variety of ways, and then we work to match needs with resources. And we have a variety of academic interventions that we offer, as well as emotional support or other needs. So it might range from reading and writing support to small groups on social skills or leadership. And we have a very talented, caring staff that works really hard to help students be successful in all those different areas. We also have a principals advisory group that meets with staff members to advise the principal. So this year they have their work cut out for them, as they're working to orient me on practices and traditions, and then serve as a sounding board for new ideas or suggestions, and they've been incredibly helpful. This month we worked on solidifying plans for Halloween and discussing winter recess protocols. Those are two pretty big things in an elementary school for sure. And today at our staff meeting we then talked about those topics with our whole staff, and we continue to strive for consistency and communication, and kind of taking each season and each different event as they come and setting our practices. We've reconvened our playground committee and took a look at the existing playground plans and designs. And the decision was made by the group to reconnect with the company that we had been working with, to ask them to come back and make some design modifications and some recommendations in light of our priorities. I had been under the impression that maybe we were at a final design stage and it was time for fundraising, and that isn't quite where we're at. So we're hoping to have the designer come back and take a look, maybe try and reduce some costs and look at uses of space and see where we can go from there. So stay tuned. And tonight we have a book fair that's taking place that was really well attended when I left. And we also are holding a costume swap for families for Halloween. So we received a number of donations from parents, and then students can come and choose from those donations tonight. And several volunteers from the middle high school have come down to help with that. They're also helping with childcare, our upcoming SPTO meetings, and we're very grateful for that partnership.
Are you looking for grants for the playground?
So once we get, so we're sort of like a two-prong approach of a group of folks who are involved in the design and really looking at what things make sense and what's where, and so many things to consider, from where's the snow from the parking lot going and what will that do to playground space, to taking advantage of green and open space and slopes that we have, and ADA accessibility, and right, all of those factors. And then we have some people who've stepped up and said, I'm not interested in that part as much, but I do have experience in development or grant writing, and once there is a design and a price tag, want to take over that piece. So certainly we will look to all sorts of different funding sources. I did meet with, I went to Grantham and had a tour of their playground and met with someone from their SAU and their principal to talk about their process. And they gave some suggestions and tips that then we can reconnect as we get to that phase. We've got a little bit more work to do. And a lot of those grants or those development opportunities seem like they come with a timeline.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to engage that process when we're not at that design and number quite yet, but looking forward to that next step, and have some wonderful people who've stepped up to help.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
All sounds wonderful. We'll move on to SMHS.
We do have, we do have a student rep. It's the alternate, Hadley is here today. Did you have anything addition, or did you want to stay with the presentation?
Not really, we had one come in this past week, pep rally. We're hoping to move the bonfire to, it's October 24th. Yeah, so hopefully the weather holds up for that. We're able to do that. The sports teams are kind of in mid-season right now. I know soccer has a game on Friday, volleyball's playing right now. I think everyone's
Other than our evacuation drill, so I was listening jealously to, we had our first evacuation drill, it wasn't silent, it was, we'll go with quiet, but we'll be working on it. So we do 10 drills a year, so the first one is a work in progress. It's hard to believe, but we sent progress reports out yesterday. So we're halfway through the first quarter, which seems like, oh my goodness, we're already there. But we did that. We had our open house a little later than we typically do, but we had the open house last Thursday. Felt it was a really good turnout. So a lot of parents came out. A lot of new parents. We talked about with a lot of new students this year. So a lot of positive feedback from them. I think that can be tricky sometimes because we still have a lot of parents who have kids, and it's like, I've had the same teacher with all three of my other kids, so we still have that version, but we also have some new teachers, and we also have some new students, and so those parents were appreciative of the opportunity to come in and see how the classes went. But a good start, but busy but good. That's how I would put that.
I know we talk about it every time, but I want to, make sure we acknowledge Ms. Spartan for everything she's doing for all the math classes. I know that's a big lift, and the students are, from what I can hear, even when I was here last week, are stepping up, and they're understanding and talking to Ms. Spartan about it. Like, she's just been amazing. I didn't realize what a big piece she had in that. So thank you to her and to you guys for making that happen for everybody. It's been...
Hasn't been perfect by any stretch, but we're doing the best that we can, and Ms. Barton's been very helpful, and you can forget sometimes that she teaches 6
Yes.
different classes. Wow. And then is doing math. So there's a lot of good things about teaching here. One of the challenges is you teach in a lot of different classes based on the makeup of our school.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Moving on to superintendent update.
Thank you. Quick things, we've been heavily involved right now in the budget. I've said this the last 2 meetings, I'll say it again, things are expensive. So right now, we've been told our health insurance increase could be anywhere between 10 and 26%. We know that water and sewer in town is roughly going up 7%. We know that the second year of the teacher contract, which is roughly over 1% in money, over $140,000, which was approved by voters. So things are certainly going to be expensive. We haven't got an official budget yet. It's a Judy Kelly Friday, and we'll spend some time really working that over to bring something that we think is presentable to the board, and then let the board make some decisions. One of the things we're going to certainly have to have some conversations about is looking at our contingency account and our capital reserve accounts and seeing how we're going to potentially utilize those, if we're going to utilize those, to potentially offset some budget expenses, and then how we potentially at the end of this year start using some unanticipated revenue through tuition through our contingency account to try to have that sort of cushion, knowing that our prices keep going up. We know that when we get up into the 6, 7, 8, 9% in our budget, we're just not going to get things passed, right? We saw what happened with it now. And so how can we help manage that? And I think the one thing that's important is, if people look at what's the number on the ballot question, they don't always look at the tax bill number, knowing what that was compared to the second half bill that actually probably goes down, at least the school rate goes down. They don't see that. They see that first number that's on that ballot. So we'll have to have some more conversation about that, but certainly in the throes of the budget. Get ready for winter weather. We still have not received no one has received their second allocation from the federal government. Wasn't great to hear what the federal government shut down today before that allocation went up. So all our grants right now are only 1/3 covered. And so we will certainly have to keep an eye on that. Hopefully we'll be getting that in that money. And lastly, as I think I said last time, it is LSR time, where legislators are now putting potential language forward. They're looking at limited speech in the classroom. They're looking at open enrollment. They're looking at book bans again, EFAs, audits and budgets, and all those type of things. From you can imagine, as current events happen, and as a former legislator, Linda, I think you probably saw that. As current events happen, legislation has a tendency to follow some of those current events. So we'll keep our eyes on that and bring you more information as it becomes more available. But certainly a lot of moving parts, but we had a lot of great people working at the SAD, one of our schools, continuing to keep us moving in the right direction.
Because we talked about it last week, how are you and John feeling about snow removal?
So we have we have 2 bids right now. We're getting a third, and we hope in November to bring that to you.
Awesome.
But it's not cheap. And then we'll obviously have to talk about what that looks like for the following year. So I think the first year we would say to look at one of our contingencies account for our facilities and potentially just pull it out of there, right? Instead of going and stressing our budget. And then so pulling that up, then putting in that budget for the next school year, and that could be again $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 impact, or I think I told this, do we look at now purchasing our own equipment? And what's that cost? And we'll price all that out for you. Equipment comes potentially a person. So where's that cost? Right? And I think we just have to really be cognizant of as things are shifting from one place to the other, there's still a cost that are associated back to our community. And what's the best way about going handling that cost?
So is the option for us to be combined with the town again probably like just not an option anymore, or is
as I know is that for this year they are unable to facilitate that. I don't know if we're in their budget, so we have our meetings lined up with the town and the Church Select Board the second week of October, so one of the questions certainly will be, are we going back in the budget? If not, so that we get a budget for it ourselves.
And say if they do put us back in the budget, should we still prepare in case it's not passed again and we're
yeah, I think that certainly begs the question to, if you went to another default budget, are we going to be part of that chopping block? Right? Or is there a guarantee we're not? And then if they can't guarantee us, I think you're right, then we're now potentially double budgeting, because if they go to default again, we're on the chopping block.
Then we're hitting those contingencies.
We're going to do it again. And going out to bid in October, November, you can usually do a little better if you know that ahead of time. Or if you're like the company that did it this year, hiring for the second year and hopefully getting a good rate.
Yeah, okay.
I noticed we had some advertisements out for custodians. I'm wondering how many custodians we're looking for and what, just one?
Just one. We were looking for 2. We had, sometimes somebody else's misfortune is our improvement. With the situation in Claremont, we had a custodian jump over. He's been phenomenal. We're really lucky to have him. Comes with great experience. We just haven't been able to find that last one. Right, so we put our little
signs out.
Politician signs out there.
Questions? School board topics, November SCES.
So this is just what I've scheduled for you based upon some of these conversations. This elementary will present in November. We'll do state testing, and then April, I push this out a little bit, but again, if there are other things, just please email and let me know. I stayed away from sort of that budget deliberative session, but if there's something that comes up that you want to look at in January and February, we certainly can do that. And then obviously as you move into the spring, whatever you may want to see.
Thank you. We're on to action items. Looking for a motion to approve the tuition rate 2026-2027.
So I'm going to pass this out as just a proposal for you. What was in your packet, and I'm probably going to talk before you get your motion there, but you probably want to clarify your motion so you get it, right? Okay. In your packet, we just put the current rate. And so one of the things that I looked at with Kelly over this last couple of weeks was, again, knowing things are getting more expensive, it's not necessarily fair that Sunday absorbs all of those costs as expenses go up. Again, electricity, water, all those things. So we thought an adjustment to the tuition rate over the next 2 years of $500 a year would be a nice adjustment. It's not going to hopefully break anybody. It's if a parent had to chip in a $500, it's not going to necessarily break anybody. But it does allow us to continue to offset some of the expenses that we're going to look at. We're also remember, all our sending districts now pay for their own special ed costs. They pay us for those programs. We're looking at revamping our special ed costs as well and updating that menu. So again, as things are going up, everyone has to pay a piece of that going up. Right? And so would be just a proposal for you that we think is fair and equitable without putting anybody right now over the limit. We know Goshen right now is the only school district that has been pretty steady at saying, we're holding at 16. Doesn't mean they won't go up, but maybe if there's enough people, if they know they're going up over the next 2 years, maybe they'll increase that. And in both our sort of agreements, it talks about having that information to them by November 1st.
So it's, we should probably make a motion.
Making the motion to approve the tuition rate of 2026, 2027.
You want to talk about what that rate is, that's all.
Right.
That's
Correct.
a question.
Go ahead.
So the current rate for 2025, 2026 is 15.5 for K through 8, 15.5 through K through 8, and 16.5 for 9 through 12. And then looking going forward for 26, 27, 27, 28, $500 increases to those. Say that correct?
You did?
So I will make a motion to approve the proposal for tuition for the 26-27 school year.
Can I ask a couple of questions about it? One, you're talking about open enrollment, and that could be different coming down from the state, I think, from legislative action, what the tuition rate is. And we just have to put this through, and then if that changes, come back and amend it.
Right, so depending on what that legislation looks like, actually the way it's written now, Linda, and you know this, is that it's the sending, 80%, could be up to 80% of the sending district. So when I went and looked at that, based upon that 80%, Leominster right now would be the lowest cost per pupil, and that would come in right at about 17,000. The rest of them are somewhere around 20,000. Now, that's at 80%.
Yep.
Right? We don't have to go to 80%, and as it's written now, you have to be an open enrollment school where it could be open enrollment.
Yep.
So I think we just would have to come back to the drawing board based upon if that legislation and what that legislation looks like to say, are we still happy with where we are, or do we need to change that and go up or down based upon what it is?
Right, I just think to project it out a couple of years is kind of iffy. And my other question is a set amount versus a percentage. What's the kind of pros and cons of doing a percentage rather than the set amount or a set amount?
Sure, I think it would depend on what you wanted to do that percentage on. Right, so we've never done a percentage of anything to do with our cost per pupil. We've done that based upon what we knew sending districts were giving to money to parents to make sure that we were contingent in the game, right? We were a player in the game.
Right.
And so we've just adjusted that based upon what we know has been sort of small incremental steps by other communities to help offset some of those choice school tuitions that they're giving to parents. So the offset of going at offset of just going too high, as it's stated there, they only need one school in the state that is able to accept students at the cost that they are giving as a town to that parent. So if Fall Mountain said, we'll take all the kids at 14, that's all they have to do is cover 14. So if we're at 15, 16, 17, 18, whatever it is, that's on the parent to pay the difference. So remember, it's only one. So we try to be close to that one, again, so that kids have the option of being here if this is someplace they want to be. So it's a great question, but I'm not sure, because of the other variables, so towns, and a lot of those towns don't like to tell you necessarily what they're giving.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure they don't know as they're building their budgets as well.
Right.
Right? So that's why we projected it on a 2-year, a small increment, because maybe they can now, oh, I see I'm gonna need, this much over the next 2 years, at least in my budget, so they can start looking at those budget numbers for their own communities.
My only thought was that we're always talking about a percentage increase when we're talking about our budget, that a percentage factor might be more palatable than just a $500.
Sure.
So, whatever.
I think again, a lot goes, the percentage might end up putting it at a point where the parents are not going to pay the money and they're just going to go to another school. And when you look at the percentage, if you lose 10 kids by putting a percentage up a small amount, the total loss of them not coming greatly affects what we have. Trying to explain it right, but if you drive away 10 kids that are no longer now paying 16.5, and then the other kids are paying an extra % or two more, it doesn't hit the 160,000 level or something like that.
Right, and I understand that, and my math isn't that great to see what percentage $500
Well,
is.
3% is about $465,
Okay.
so we're a little over 3%.
Okay, I think that's important to
Pretty
put in
good.
there. Okay, yeah.
So a motion with the numbers is on the table. Do I have a second?
I can second.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns?
When's the timeline to hear about voting on open enrollment? Is that,
So will hopefully be determined by June, Linda? Maybe?
I don't
You would
know.
hope before June?
You would hope.
It could be July, because you could go to the governor could veto, it could be in July.
yeah,
Could be September, probably not.
Yeah.
Could never make it too.
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
And it would be effective next school year?
It depending how it's written, it
Oh,
could go in
geez.
effect like July 1 or August 1st or September 1st.
Okay.
I would assume, I can't even do that because I
Yeah,
can't assume the
yeah.
legislature.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, but just
usually
knowing,
the timing is one of the things that's considered. I mean, it's usually brought up, so
Yeah.
it's at least taken into account.
Given there are budgets involved, again, I'm going to assume for the legislature, I'm not sure, but I would assume it would be a year from when it was.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah.
Which would give us time for adjustments.
to readjust, yeah.
Quite a
That's what I was-
scramble.
But for now, it gives parents and school boards of other communities the understanding of at least what's coming down with what we're setting. All those in favor? Aye. No opposed.
Thank you.
No opposed. Looking for a motion to approve the proposed Appendix E positions.
I can make a motion to approve the proposed Appendix E positions.
Second.
Any questions, comments, concerns?
It's great. There's JV golf.
Love it.
First time.
Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. And a motion to approve the proposed budget calendar 2025-2026.
I can make a motion to approve the proposed budget calendar for 25-26.
I'll second.
Any questions, comments, concerns? I know now I will not be here for the school board meeting on November 5th. And then I believe I will not be here for the ABC meeting school board for November 18th.
Are these all in the library? Just
These are all in the library.
Okay, so I'm putting my.
So you have we have an ABC, we have a board administrator review on the 5th, and then first on, I think it's the 12th. Scott and Jen will be returning as your ABC members.
I won't be here for the November 18th one either.
Okay, and if we need to change that, once we get into it, we'll look at it, if we need to
Okay.
change it for people, we have planning flexibility. The real part of that schedule, when things have to be posted, the winter session,
Yes.
budget hearing, those type of things.
Yeah.
Our ABC meetings certainly have some flexibility.
Okay.
I don't see any other concerns for me. Anybody else? All those in favor?
Okay.
No. Information items. Enrollment, October 1st, 2025.
October 1st, we have our enrollment each year due to the state. I have given you the format we continue to use that has us dated back on this one to 10/1/22, and it goes through this current year. As you can see, we are up 46 students this year overall, and I'll give you a breakdown of that in a minute. But I also put in that packet our projection from this historical piece, but also the projection from NESDEC, and it kind of shows what we are doing. We are gaining, as NESDEC sort of has indicated. We're actually ahead of that curve at this point in time. So I think it's a good data point, because we went through the project. For those of you that were here, went through this project We were questioned a lot about it, the historical and the projection, but the projection, as you see, is pretty steady, and as I stated, it's under right now which was projected, we're over what was projected. And finally, we put together a tuition document for you, so you see the breakdown of students in tuition. And so when I talked about 46 students, we're up 46 students, we were up 10 tuition students, so last year we had 80 tuition students, this year we have 90, and that means we have 36 new students to the town of Somerville, which is
That's a
great.
lot.
That is a lot. So, and obviously you can see where they went up and down based upon from year to year.
So 26 new residents,
36.
but 10 of those are new tuition students?
10 of those are new tuition.
And 26 of those are Centipede residents?
There's 36 and 10.
Oh, 36 and 10, so
46
46 altogether.
I'm sorry, yeah, 46
Okay.
altogether, 36 Sunapee, 10 tuition.
Wow. Okay.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
So by adding more students, does that reduce the cost per pupil?
By adding more students, it certainly reduces the cost of people. We have done those projections for you at 10, 15, 30 kids, and the more students you have with your current staffing and programming, the lower your cost per pupil will be.
The 36 to the town of Sunapee is a help
Certainly is.
to bring that cost down.
Yep.
And it shows that our residents are increasing the children,
This is wonderful.
which is great. Update on raising expenses.
So just, again, not to beat the dead horse, but we're gonna keep beating it. We know we are over in special education based upon, some of those 36 kids, are kids that required some special education needs, and not having those kids last year and having them now this year requires us to go out and require the services that are needed to fulfill those IEPs. So we know we have some overages right now in special ed that we're gonna cover, and we'll talk more about that as we get into January. But, 10 to 26% healthcare, 7% water, we know things are expensive. The school bus, $145,000, $155,000, but it used to be $100,000. Everything is just expensive. A lot of our stuff now through technology, Chromebooks, things that are coming from overseas, potential tariffs put on them, just parts and pieces and service contracts, everything is getting more and more expensive. And we're gonna have a tough time managing this budget. We will, and we'll bring you a number that we think is palatable for this community, but we all feel it at home. We're gonna feel it here too in school.
Will you have a sense of the difference in the special education amount? And if we obviously have to hit the contingency?
So we have a number now.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna give it, but.
That's okay.
Only because I'd like to wait till we get to the new year to see. Again, so we had a couple students that showed up on our door this morning, and I know I had a student that walked out for the didn't walk out, but left the elementary school this morning.
Yeah.
Right, so there's still a little bit of an influx.
Yeah.
And so once we settle down after the first review, we'll have a better understanding of kind of where we are in the budget, and what that looks like to project forward to ask what we might need out of the contingency.
Okay, but can you say right now that you feel like the contingency fund we currently have will cover the?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Great.
We have not overshot our contingency account or our special ed capital reserve.
wonderful.
All right, moving on, looking for a motion to approve the manifest as stated.
I can make a motion to approve the manifest as stated.
I'll second it.
Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Agenda for next meeting, board chair. Have anything? It's definitely coming.
We have your budget binders for you. You can pick them up. We'll send you an email when you can pick them up. If you want to pick them up beforehand, that Wednesday meeting, we'll try to get them ready the Friday before for you. We're in the process of doing those now, so the budget will certainly be a piece. You'll have a presentation by the elementary school. Then we may have some, talk to John and see if we can potentially give you some updates on some of our facilities. So one of the things we're working on are facility contracts. We had a great meeting this morning with EPI, looking at potential some continued work with controls, HVAC, insulation, those things. Again, you all have done in this community has done a great job of bringing in a cheaper way to heat these buildings. We got to keep the heat in these buildings now that it's in the building. And so this building certainly wasn't made to retain heat, but we need to hopefully get that up to stuff a little bit. We have, I think, a process in which we can do that over a period of time with small increments of money that we can either capital reserve or budget for.
And last, we do have a request to go into non-public session for discussion of matters covered under RSA 91A3. That is, matters which, if discussed in public, would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member or body or agency itself, unless such person requests an open meeting. Looking for a motion for that. I will motion.
I will second.
Okay.
We need this roll call.
Yep. Roll call. Oh, when I can do it.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do them. So for the public, we are going to adjourn from this meeting when we're done. So we are done here right now.